Hello everyone, great to have you back here for this round 3 back 9 MPO lead card coverage of the 2025 European Disc Golf Championships. This may or may not be the final 9 of the tournament. At this point of recording and during the day, they announced that with a severe weather warning, the 4th round may or may not happen, but exciting times either way. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Andrew Gum.
Yeah, so excited to have this new merch available and this great disc golf action happening from the European Championships. Absolutely stunningly beautiful course. It's super late at night, but we're having a great time.
Hey, there's also discs on the store now. Tons of variations, beautiful signature series. Go support the coverage there, MDG Media/shop. We see here the standings now. Niklas Anttila, our solo leader at 27 under. Crazy separation from the rest of the field. If he can maintain this through the back 9, we'll be going into that potential 4th round once again as the leader. Kristian Kuoksa put on a great performance, super hot start, 5 under through the first 6. Momentum is on his side as well.
Super impressive, man. That's so cool. Hole 10, par 3, uphill, 98 meters. Pretty particular shot shape, actually. You know, you got to move it just subtly and gently left to right and get it to finish kind of straight there at the end. You want to avoid these like late birch trees that sort of kind of protrude into the fairway a little bit as compared to the rest of the shape that defines the hole. And then you got a little bit of a shelf with a drop off on the right side. I haven't really seen it punish anybody yet, but you imagine it really could, I guess, if something, you know, doesn't go your way.
Certainly the rolls on the green for a missed putt can come into play. Niklas shaping this tunnel really nicely.
Whoa.
Just zaps that by. Yeah, I mean, so pure. He goes long by hitting nothing. It's so rare to see absolutely nothing be hit. There's so much in the way.
True. It is a pretty tight shot, actually. And being pretty uphill like that, you know, it's...
Kristian hits the floor there, and to his benefit, I mean, just bounces into the bullseye.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Especially with the wind just raging like this, you know, to control the disc on that kind of a flight makes you feel good.
We spoke about the momentum and pace on Kristian and Niklas's side. Both Albert and Dennis were birdie free in the front 9, still looking to get themselves one of those here in the back 9 now.
Yeah, sure hope they do. Look at that result for Dennis. Almost parked. Niklas here. Dead center.
Oh,
disgusting spit back.
That is unsavory.
Oh. You know, he's trying to shake that off, but that's really disappointing, especially with him trying to chase down Gannon Burr's record for the best rated event of all time. You know, he's very aware of this, and he would like to have ultimate bragging rights over his good friend, you know, the best player in the world. Like,
understandably so. He was right up there in the first 2 rounds with 1088 tournament average. This 3rd round, I mean, it's an insane average to try and maintain, but with his performance in the first 2 rounds, it seemed plausible here going into the final stretch of the event.
Yeah, and every stroke counts. He was super disappointed that basket rejected his perfect putt there.
He has another chance here on hole 11, a 303-meter par 5. You have this initial shot over the water with OB lining the left and right sides. You have to control it, particularly in today's ripping wind, but still a very generous fairway. Your second shot, you're aiming to get up onto this plateau where the fairway then bends to the right. You play over this soft mound, around this singular bush, and over to this sloped and slightly dangerous green, but with no OB to speak of. The only real danger is that natural rough behind it, as well as a potential rollaway on the slope. It's a very nice and attackable hole in calm conditions. In these conditions today, it's a very different beast. Kristian, so much power off the tee. We'll see if he's able to control that and find his way inbounds.
Nah, he doesn't. It's out on the right side. But this wind is raging over here. This is really hard tee shot. Look at what it's doing to these discs, you know.
Even Albert let out an audible whoa as he picked a super stable disc, and that thing even got crushed over into a turning flight. A lot of these winds are pushing off of the water, so the lake on the right side being the source, and you see exactly that, the wind pushing them over to the left so strongly.
Yeah, this is the part of the course where you feel that wind the most. It just seems to kind of funnel through the fjords and off that lake. And I mean, look at what's happening and just listen to the microphones. This is pretty uncomfortable conditions to play disc golf in.
This is just a taste of what we may have in the potential fourth round. A lot of these players even saying that it kind of doesn't feel like true disc golf anymore.
Yeah.
At some point you don't have control over the flight of the disc anymore. It's up to chance, it's up to the wind. You can make certain decisions like overstable discs, like keeping things on hyzer, maybe low to the ground, but on a 303 meter par 5 you're expected to throw far, accurately, and that's just not happening in this wind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's impossible to make a good read, you know, to know exactly what's going to happen when you let go. It's impossible to predict, you know, and the things you think you know about your disc don't seem to happen. It doesn't behave the way that you're used to. Like when it gets to a certain level, the wind, you know, it doesn't always do what you predict it might. You know, it's just like kind of mayhem out there, I guess. And now you've been doing double duty this week as a camera operator. What is it like to be out there in these type of conditions, you know, doing your thing?
To be honest, when you're not throwing discs and you're well prepared, you know, a good soft shell, it's kind of fun. It's an exciting time. Obviously, the players are struggling, and the feel on the course isn't quite the same as during nice weather, but it's a real experience to be out there experiencing those ripping winds, that sideways rain, seeing some of the best players in the world lay up from 3 and 4 meters, Andrew, effectively from within the bullseye. They're laying up.
Right.
It's a totally different game.
It's an interesting experience, and if you got that Wayo apparel, you're well kitted up and comfortable. And
I was living in that soft shell today. That Elements jacket kept me warm, kept me dry, super comfy. You can go check that out. We see here these guys looking to approach the green now, and their discs are just being stolen, taken away by the wind. They're going to do their best, but Dennis there finding the OB. It's a pretty wide green, but that's right over there near the tee of 12, so that OB line is actually there for player safety.
big old forehand. Man, I'm super impressed with what he's doing today and all week. He wouldn't be the #1 pick that I would have had to be like challenging Niklas Anttila, you know, to be the only guy really within reach of him. So, you know, of course he's got the skills. It's just, you know, to execute on this level and these conditions, that's, you know, quite a feat. Good on him.
No doubt. We love to see him here on the channel when he arrives. We go now to Dennis. Simply, once again, forced to lay up with the drop-off behind at range. You see from his body language, he's just not super pleased with the round so far. Understandably so. Niklas as well, not taking any risks there. Kristian looking to do the exact same. Keep it low, hit it short, slide on up. And it's a very interesting game in terms of strategy when you're almost expected to lay everything up outside maybe 7 meters.
It's, yeah, pretty bizarre. You're not really, you know, used to doing that, seeing that. And so when you have to do it, then in these kind of conditions, even those layups, you have to kind of like focus, right? It's not like you just like just tossing it under the bucket. You got to make sure you do it the right way so it doesn't go, you know, astray and like.
Totally.
Even the layups are tough, as I'm trying to say, I guess. Yeah.
Any mistake you make is amplified hugely by the conditions, so you're absolutely right. Every stroke counts here, especially on hole 12. Andrew, break it down for us. Fun hole.
This is a beautiful hole. Par 3 for the MPO, 407 feet or 24 meters down to this gorgeous peninsula green. You got quite a few trees all around. They do come into play, you know, you see a lot of discs moving in here on the right side, get caught up in those trees and then get kicked down into the OB, in which case you got to go to the mandatory drop zone, which is pretty difficult up and down. Pretty big numbers can come into play. But then it's a really, really rewarding feeling when you get it stuck there on the green, or if you ace it like Evelina Salonen did yesterday, or Christoph Novak in the practice round. We got to keep shouting those out because that's just a dream ace for your career. It's something that you remember your whole life. I'll remember it my whole life. Looking back to the tee, it's just, you know, monster mountain, beautiful lake, crystal clear. You know, what more could you want from a disc golf hole? Astoundingly beautiful.
We see a left to right wind here for these players. It was more severe in the morning than this afternoon when MPO is playing, but still very much intact. And OB short for Albert. I think, as far as I know, this drop zone is not optional. It is mandatory if you are not inbounds, effectively playing as an island, although it is a peninsula. Kristian spikes it in. Really nice control, filters through that tree, has a look towards the cliff. I spent about 2 minutes today on the green here trying to put on a poncho and was just like a sail in the wind. I couldn't find the arms. I couldn't get the head through, and I just gave up at some point. It almost flew away from me.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. This is, I guess, the spot where it just, you know, really seems completely out of control. And to be able to control a disc up on anywhere near the basket, you know, you're a superhero in my mind.
Dennis right up there, maybe looking at his next birdie opportunity, could translate it into his first of the round. We go to Albert from the drop zone, and actually from the camera view looks surprisingly calm here, although they're feeling it. Those branches are swaying. Kristian here, a little bit of risk reward, and that says everything right there. A player of his caliber laying that one up.
Albert Cage, he was running that, gave it a good bid really too, you know, just a little bit low. Maybe he was thinking the wind would lift it a little bit more, but pretty gutsy run. Dennis bangs it home for the birdie. Fantastic. The first birdie of the day for Dennis Augustsson, and it comes on this gorgeous hole. That's a feel-good birdie right there for your defending, reigning European champion, trying to defend that title. It's getting out of his reach, though. 13 strokes behind the leader, Niklas Anttila. Either way, great bounce back from the double there on 11, getting the bird on 12. In these conditions, a birdie is something to brag about, really, or something to at least tell the story to your friends and maybe family or whoever wants to listen.
And we see Dennis still in that top 6. Fritjof in 5th, Lauri Lettinen in 4th, Timo Hartmann in 3rd.
SIGR Bag's got quite the team there, all hanging out and having a good time. Yeah, tell us about hole 13.
This is an interesting one. It requires a pretty huge shot off the tee to get into position, and a good tee shot is really the qualifier to even have a chance at the birdie. Anything that is short of the triple mando completely prevents you from accessing the green. You have to throw this straight shot, managing the OB along the right side and the left side. You have to, on your second shot, go under this orange rope. This is the triple mando gate that then brings you to this downhill tunnel shot to the green with OB no more than 4 or 5 meters behind the basket. It requires 2 perfect shots to get close. Most commonly on this green, players will opt to come up just a bit short, but again, with this wind coming off the water in front of them, downhill into a headwind, there's so much danger to be had. I think on a day like today, 4 is a good score on this hole.
Oh, absolutely. It's ridiculous, like down there, the way the wind's just ripping through.
And to be honest, this tee shot requires probably around 130, 135 meters to get into the sweet spot with accuracy. These guys, obviously, they're on the lead card. They're capable of making shots like that. But for the average field member, a tall order, Kristian in a perfect spot, looks like. Had all the distance, even fading left at the end, makes that shot a little bit shorter on the second. Niklas shaping one a touch more than Kristian.
Yeah, Kristian dead on the sweet spot. Niklas a wee bit shorter, but in good position still. The bazooka bomber. Doesn't like it. He thinks it's sawed off. Anyway, I guess it is a little bit, but he gets a good kick off that tree and puts him into a fine position.
Yeah, that's a really good break. Would have been flirting with that Mando miss potentially. We go first to Dennis, looking to flex one through the gap, gets caught up, and there is OB on this second tunnel as well. It's pretty far up each of the raised walls, but
that's the second day in a row he's made that mistake. Surprising.
This shot is, for what looks like potentially a standard tunnel, is actually very complex in terms of the shape you need to create, the stability you need to control. Kristian just a touch low on the release, will be left with a choice, most certainly though, a layup. We go to Albert in position to try and secure a birdie look. And the wind just lifts it, crashes it. Great filter back to the center though. A simple putt down into the green. As his umbrella begins to walk away on him. We go to Dennis now.
Forehand approach after the OB stroke. Sliding it up nicely, right under the bucket. Well played there. Good recovery. Minimizing the damage. Upside down. Tosses it up there, very well done, into the bullseye. Crafty little approach from Albert.
I'd call that a veteran move, I think. Yeah. That's something you learn with time, how to manage the wind, how to use your discs to their full potential in a weird circumstance.
Yeah, I learned that lesson from the legend Greg Barsby in Thailand. We had a crazy windy day out on the island when we took a little trip out there, and he just said, turn it upside down, slide it right up with your, overstable mid-range, and it worked pretty well. I think it saved me quite a few strokes in that. I shot 11 down, I was like plus 12.
Nice little shout out to the Barsbarian there. And these guys just left with these short tap-ins. The spectators here having a very interesting time. This green causes all sorts of damage to cards of any level and every level. As we see, none of them able to secure the birdie. Hole 13 besting our lead card just a little bit. But a really fun, exciting birdie opportunity here on 14. This uphill par 3 66-meter island hole offers players a great look at a potential ace or otherwise a birdie. The most common mistake is to hit the trees on the left, right, or the cliff in front and roll back towards them, which will take you to the drop zone, which is a 12-meter or so death putt. You see that OB is just 1 meter behind the basket from the drop zone. I think this is a perfectly designed hole, Andy.
I love this one. This is a ton of fun to watch and play. In this wind, it's a fair bit more difficult, but that could be said for any hole. It's, stunning optics, really. When you're standing on the tee pad, you're looking up at that basket, it's just begging you to give it an ace run, isn't it? And Niklas, look at the, oh, jeez.
Crazy airtime on that one. Does come down eventually, though.
Yeah, super fun hole here. They've made such great use of this really stunning landscape, to kind of give you a lot of different shots to shape, but also really nice views, and lots of score separation, which is one thing I find really, really nice about this course. So many holes can give you a big number, but then, the course can be totally shredded, like we've seen from Niklas and, Albert and some others out there. Maxime had a hell of a day yesterday.
We saw Albert's shot catch the bushes. It looks the same for that one. Additionally, both of them will proceed to the drop zone. Niklas just going to lay this one up. And it's interesting to see the third and fourth players go OB because they had a wind read from the first two players who saw their discs get pushed over to the right. Albert, hanging it more to the left, gets punished. And we see, wow, how off Niklas's disc it looked like. Certainly close enough to put that in, but a funny outcome of a potential layup to ricochet off someone else's disc. Get a slightly more unfortunate outcome.
Yeah, I don't think it's pretty inconsequential in this case, but well, or so you would seem, but it's even those short ones. Yeah, you want to be, any centimeter closer just gives you that much less stress when you're trying to hole out on those.
If you're laying up from circle one, you want to tap in. You don't want to be left with a putt.
Yeah,
but they're good for it there.
Yeah. Hole 15, par 4, 212 meters, or nearly 700 feet. Water carry off the tee. You don't want to hit any of these trees and get kicked back into the drink. You got OB lining the right side of where the road is and on the left side where the lake shore is. There's this walking path that runs through the fairway. That's a good place to land. Ground, pretty decent condition here. There is some parts of the course that are fairly soggy after some heavy rains over the last few weeks, but this one got a strong sloping hillside right to left. And you want I guess this is a pretty tough birdie to get. Maybe not necessarily like a hard par 4 to get the par, but in these wind conditions, yeah, it's averaging 4.56. But if you get a birdie on this one, I think you've done pretty well. You made 2 pretty high level shots in a row.
Kristian playing the spike hyzer, using the height here will get the wind more involved, but really well done. Tombstones that one in. The more direct straight shot might bring the wind less into play, but it's also managing more than one angle. It brings a lot more variability into the outcome as compared to that one angle spike hyzer. It's going to go up, it's going to come down. Oh, Niklas, centimeters shy of ricocheting back inbounds.
That one flipped a lot. He wasn't expecting that. Turned way over. Almost got back in bounds after hitting that fence, but he's going to have to do some serious work to save that par.
Dennis, really nice use of a super overstable disc. Checks up into the sweet spot. Anything near that gravel path is good. Of course, as you get up towards that road to the right, you begin to bring the OB into play. We see Albert up first, having to shape a long straight shot with a potentially softly leftwards finish, but that guardian tree prevents the full flight as well as the fade.
That one stays safe. Yeah. Be happy when he gets up there. It's kind of a little bit blind sometimes up there towards the green. A lot of the spotters have vacated. Not too much gallery. The conditions are pretty rough. Now it's raining. Sideways. I think at this point a lot of people just wanted to go home, including the players and some of the media workers. Disc golf, it's more enjoyable on a sunny day with less wind.
On the other hand, though, these guys are professionals. They're the best in the world. They're here to do their job and play the sport. Part of that sport is the conditions and learning to manage them, navigate through them. Ultimately, though, the decision that we will confirm is about player safety, is about spectator safety, and that was what was in question here today. We saw branches falling. We saw people slip. A friend of mine DNF'd from the tournament because he slipped on some wet steps and hurt his arm. I mean, this was happening today in these conditions, and that is not the outcome that organizers or the players want to see.
Yeah, and I guess it's worth mentioning right now that hole 18 will be changed from the par 4 up on that tower that you speak of where the accident took place down to the drop zone and be played as a par 3 instead. So you will see a different hole 18 than we have seen on the first 2 days.
OTB is very specific on how they list the disc because they want you to like the disc.
Virtually in your hand tells you what the disc is going to feel like, how heavy it's going to be. It's everything you want to know before it shows up to your house.
Not just marketing.
It's only the best.
We continue to hole 16. This par 3, only 76 meters, as well as being downhill, is really just a nice touchy shot. The two most common plays is a hyzer flip with a slightly understable disc or a flex with a slightly overstable disc, the latter being that which I expect on this windy day, relying on a touch of overstability. You want to hit the ground near the road, slide up to the mulch. Anything long of the basket could potentially stay in bounds, but does begin to flirt with the lake. This headwind, however, makes controlling the height really difficult on the slope. Not super close, but that is a good shot by Kristian. He got the release angle he wanted. The disc, of course, gets beat up a little bit, but that's to be expected. We'll see if Niklas gets a read on the flight from Kristian's shot.
Fading a little bit towards that lakeside. Stays dry. It's going to be about a 13, 14 meter putt. Albert not having a good day really so much, but looking to do something special. We're taking a deep breath. Smash and change with his justice.
Wow.
Didn't stick, unfortunately, but nearly ringing up an ace.
I feel like this hole is just asking for it.
Yeah.
It's right there. Everyone's parking it in a calm day.
He was definitely hunting it. He really took a minute or like a moment to sort of focus in on, trying to do something special, realizing that the tournament win is out of reach at this point. But he knows the cameras are on. He knows he wants to feel good about what he's doing out here, and definitely got himself a pretty sweet highlight there.
No doubt.
Yeah.
That blue rope there is actually for the spectators. So you saw Dennis pass over a rope, but that is not an out of bounds line. That is just to keep the gallery well positioned and out of the danger zone for the most part. We go to Niklas now, putting laterally on the hill. Oi, oi, what smooth control.
Yes, in those conditions, to connect from that range, world-class stuff right there. First birdie of the back nine. He's happy to get it. Slow-mo replay.
Give me another look.
Well earned from the catch cam angle. Eyeballing the spot he's trying to hit. Nailing it.
Looking pretty unaffected, if I'm being honest. Nice angle control, nice speed control. That is an Anttila putt through and through.
Yeah, that'll jumpstart the heart a little bit here as we head towards the end of this round. It's been a rough journey. Wind just battering these folks, Hole 17's a tough one. As we see everybody cleaning up. Great birdie from Albert, tapping in after nearly acing this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna remember that one for a while. They just blew those chains all up. Hole 17's a par 3, 86 meters, 282 feet. One of the most deadly and dangerous greens in all of disc golf, particularly when the weather is the way it is today. It's just diabolical in this case, So many things can go wrong. We've seen people struggling on this all day. It's hard enough as it is on a calm, sunny day. Mix in that brutal rain and wind, particularly the wind, and it's super difficult hole. Averaging close to 4.
Understandable, honestly.
Yeah.
You can really blow up on this hole if you're not careful.
What are we seeing here?
The name of the game is inbounds. You want to get as close as possible, but even circle one could likely be a layup.
Here's Kristian Coming in with the righty backhand hyzer. Stay safe in those blueberry bushes. Gonna be a pretty tough layup even from there. Dennis, that lefty forehand. Skipping it into a pretty similar position. Also probably a layup zone. I mean, even with, you know, Dennis, who's one of the best putters I've ever seen, this is not really a hole you want to probably run.
And that EDGC sign on the water took a hit. You see that D unable to sustain the winds. Niklas, pure frustration there. Effectively executed the shot exactly as he imagined. And it was quite simply not enough. These layups now coming into play, still so scary from that range.
Smart layup there in these tough conditions. Yeah, Niklas went OB after being in the hazard. He's gonna have to tap in his 5 here. And that hurts. That stings a fair bit. Dropping back to -2 for the round. Still 25 under for the event. I mean, pretty far ahead of the field. But only 5 strokes separating him and Kuoksa at this point, so kind of a dramatic situation.
And Kuoksa continuing the par streak. We see here in the lower right of the frame, these drop zones is where these players will play from for player safety. As we mentioned earlier, it is about 132 meters from the MPO drop zone to the green, and honestly plays at a similar power required as the elevated one, which is longer, but that elevation allows you a little bit more flight and distance. So these guys are potentially going to be attacking for the 2. But elevated basket, OB everywhere. Potentially the final hole of the tournament. A stressful situation. Our lead card, everything comes down to this for them. Albert up first. Currently in solo 6th at 11 under.
He doesn't like it. See if he's got the stability to work back and still be in pretty decent shape. Yeah. Safe, you know, pretty routine up and down for the par most likely, but in these winds, never quite can tell. Kuoksa, hyzer flip, fading. Can it curl back in?
The flag says
No.
Is there a drop zone for the drop zone?
I believe it's normal OB rule now that it's played as a par 3, as if it were you know, just that drop zone shot. So he's going to take it where it was last in bounds, which is basically right where the disc lies. Dennis does pretty well there. Niklas putting a pretty good move on this one. Straightens out maybe a little bit too much.
I think for him, prioritizing inbounds, particularly seeing the shots of the other guys, most notably Kristian, who is that closest second place chaser of his going OB. Niklas knows he just needs to put it in bounds. But as you mentioned earlier, Andrew, he is chasing more than just a potential win here. He is chasing the highest tournament rated average of all time.
Yeah, almost certainly out of his reach now after that mishap there on 17 and getting some bad breaks earlier on in the back 9. He was on pace to get it done, but a bit of misfortune, and then a couple mistakes have, you know, made it imperfect. But those first 2 rounds, you can never take that away. That is incredible stuff. That is 2 of the best rounds of his life, 2 of the top 3 best rounds of his life. that's an awesome thing to do at a European Championships. You know, that's earned him a solid lead going into what is, you know, the final, what should be the final day. If it's not played and it's as a stand, then that'll earn him the title of European champion. We'll have to just wait and see, but
we see some frustration to end the round for Albert, Kristian, and Dennis. All of them expressively showing some distaste with this final hole's result. And with Niklas tapping in that par, looking at the end of this third round, 2 under, 25 under total. I'm sure you will be updated. We hope to see you for the 4th and final round, although we cannot say it with certainty. We appreciate you joining us here.
Thank you very much for joining us here today. This was round 3 in some crazy weather. You shot the second hottest round of the day, 1060 rated, 4 under par. How did it feel?
I mean, the beginning and before the round, I was not sure if I was going to make it through the round, but after the first 5 holes, I think, or 6 holes, I think I was 5 down, and then it just survived the rest of the round.
We're here playing the European Disc Golf Championships. You're currently sitting in 2nd place. We may or may not play tomorrow. What would a podium finish at this tournament mean to you?
It's a big thing for me for right now. I'm looking for my confidence, and this is a big boost of that, executing my shots, and big thing for me.
How do you adapt to the winds, to the rain? Do you change things physically? Do you change things mentally? Or do you just try and keep everything normal?
Basically, it's just a little bit more overstable discs and nothing special. I think I have advantage in the wind always. I think I'm better thrower than a putter, and I can throw so far, so I can use more overstable discs in the wind.
One final question for you. Do you hope that we play the 4th and final round tomorrow, given the weather warnings?
I mean, the European Disc Golf Championships are meant to be 4 rounds, so yes.
Amazing. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
yeah, great interview with there. Nice to get insights on how he adjusts to these conditions, and what, you know, nice to see that he wants it to be played the way it's meant to be played. I like that. That's very honest and respectful. Look at this. Yeah.
Stoic words from a stoic man. This field put to the test today, round 3. The field left bruised and battered. We here in the commentary booth appreciate you joining us immensely for all of your support. You can do the YouTube stuff. You can head over to the MDG Media website. We'll put a link below to support this coverage. You can do all the things we've already mentioned, but most importantly, you can come back next time, whether that's round 4 of this tournament or the next. We will make sure to see you there. Andy, always a pleasure, man.
So much fun. Thanks so much. Love being in the booth with you. Love having you all along for the ride. See you later.